Laura and I got Chipotle before, and I will tell you a very fast story before I go into this. But we saw The Turning, we got Chipotle before, we ate like half of it, and then we were like, oh my god, the movie starts in like 5 minutes. By the way, assigned seating in the movie theater is the greatest invention that has ever happened to us. It is so exciting because you don't have to get there super early. You can just pick your seats out early. It's such a blessing. Anyways, so we have our Chipotle. I got tacos. She got a burrito bowl. We ate like half, and we were like, I think we gotta take it in. We gotta take it in. I was very nervous. You know, I don't like to break the law, but I put it in my purse, and I put this drink, this full drink with lid and straw, down into my purse, and was like, this is fine. This is fine. And we literally go in and we walk right past the guy, and I feel like I have robbed a bank or something. I feel this like euphoric, like I really got away with something. Anyways, so I had the rest of my Chipotle during the movie, and it was excellent. Anyways, The Turning. It is based on The Turn of the Screw, the Henry James novel of 1898 ghost story. That's how they talked in 1898. This movie is about a governess who goes to work at a giant estate caring for and teaching 2 children that have been recently orphaned, and some spooky things happen. So this movie was written by Chad and Carrie Hayes, who also brought us The Conjuring 1 and 2, and it was directed by Floria Sigismondi. She is an Italian-Canadian filmmaker, and she's done a ton of music videos. That's sort of what she's known for. She is maybe most famously known for, or what I know her mostly from, is she directed the Beautiful People music video for Marilyn Manson, which is just one of the most iconic, incredible, scary music videos ever. And she also directed The Runaways, which is the movie. That movie came out in 2010. I was a teenager. It has Kristen Stewart and Dakota Fanning, who at that time in my life, I remember being my least favorite actresses of all time. No offense. And then I remember seeing that movie, and like I have always loved Joan Jett, and it's about the band The Runaways. And I was obsessed with it. Like, I loved it so much. It really empowered me. It felt so badass. And truly, I thought it was the greatest acting either of those actresses had done up to that point. Anyways, she directed that movie. She directed Marilyn Manson. I'm like, this is gonna be great. I'm very excited. Now, overall, I will say I had a very good time watching this movie for the majority of it. I did have some issues with it, particularly towards the end. But let's start out with what I loved. So, the freaking estate. Okay, so the house they are in, this giant mansion on this giant property. They actually shot it in Ireland, though it's supposed to take place in Maine. And it is this extremely, old money family, I'll just insert some shots because I won't be able to do it justice, but it is just the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Like, I would love, like, in my fantasy world, I live in a place like this. With ghosts and all. And the whole aesthetic of the movie is just something I really like. It's just like that kind of haunted house vibe that I'm really, really into. I thought it was just so pretty to look at. Like, everything was just very beautiful to look at. It even gave me a little bit of like Haunting of Hill House vibes in certain ways, but just gorgeous property they got to shoot on, and gorgeous cinematography and vibe of the film itself. The second thing I loved was the acting. I was so excited about this cast, and they did not disappoint me in any way, honestly. Like, the cast is excellent. So we have Mackenzie Davis, who plays the governess. We have Finn Wolfhard, who you'll know from Stranger Things and It. He plays Miles, the orphan son. And then we have Brooklyn Prince. What a delight. What a delight that little girl is. If you guys saw The Florida Project, she is the star of that. And that movie blew my mind. I saw it in theaters, I think also with Lauren. We go to the movies a lot together, clearly. And I remember seeing that movie and just never having been so amazed at the child actor in my life. I was just like, this little girl understands what it means to be a person and is so wise and like bright and beautiful. I love everything about her. She seems so real, so unafraid. Just love her. So, and all of them in this movie are excellent. And I also want to give a shout out to Barbara Martin, who plays the, she's like the keeper of, like, what's that term? She keeps up the house. She's like the housekeeper. The housekeeper. Oh my god. And she plays, the character's name is Mrs. Gross, I think, and she has been with the family for a very long time. And she fully accepts her position, considers the family to be above her in many ways. Like, she wants to serve them. Everything's about the children. The children are perfect. The children are great. And if anyone tells you the children are not great, that's a problem for whoever said it. And honestly, this actress, she is so intense and creepy, stern, strong, funny sometimes, unintentionally. Just a great, great character that every scene she's in, I just love her more and more. And something overall I say I like about these characters, and I think this is also definitely coming from the direction as well, is they each have very strong personalities. I don't know if it ever bugs you guys, but sometimes when you have kids in a horror movie and they're just playing like the stereotypical creepy kid, it can just get a little boring, because I want to really know more about that kid. I want to like see their personality. And this, both with Miles and Flora, you fully get a understanding of their personalities so well. Brooklyn Prince, like, she is like silly and not afraid to be big and is doing her thing. And I just really felt like I knew her. Like, I knew this little girl. Like, the way she was acting, I don't know. I just felt like I could really see who she was. And the same with Miles. Like, Miles is definitely like a troubled, angsty teen. And it's clear that he looks up to, like, Kurt Cobain. I think he has, like, a poster of Kurt Cobain in his room. But he definitely is, like, kind of rebelling against his upbringing while also being really indulgent in his upbringing. He's, like, having a lot of angsty things going on. But he's also extremely creepy in many ways. And I really appreciated how far they pushed the envelope on Miles' creepiness, because there are a lot of segments that where he literally feels like a sexual threat to Kate, the governess. And there's something about it, because he's like a 14-year-old and, you know, she's, you know, in her 20s, and it feels so uncomfortable whenever he says something inappropriate to her. It just makes your stomach sort of be like, ugh. And that, like, adds so much, I think, to his character and, like, how his character got to be that way, which you sort of, that unfolds a little bit. It is a PG-13 movie, so there's not a lot of gore in there, but I appreciated that they did push the envelope in certain ways, and that is definitely one of them. It was also just nice to see him in a very different role, because I feel like, obviously, in Stranger Things, he's doing a very similar thing. He's a quirky kid going on an adventure, and that's sort of his thing. So it was very nice to see him in a much darker role, in a very villainous role. And it's also, like, crazy. He's so pretty. Like, there's something about him, and also Brooklyn Prince in this, where they're both, like, they're so pale, they're sort of glowing in this way, and they have that, like, dark hair, and there's something about the look of them as a family that is, like, already very haunting before you even, like, know anything about them. He in general has, like, a very haunting face. Like, I feel like when he's older, he's gonna, like, play a vampire. I don't know. And then Mackenzie Davis, the governess, I think she does an excellent job. Like, she has sort of this, like, slow descent. Actually, kind of a fast descent. I said slow descent. It's actually a very fast descent into seeing ghosts, being terrified, you know, spiraling into madness, if you will. And I think she does a really good job, but she even still has, like, a strong personality. And when she comes in and she's, like, trying to take control of the situation, trying to control the kids, and get these kids, like, on a different path that they're on, and she's, like, really doing her best, and she's not afraid to really go for it. But the house and the family are sort of really, they get to her very quickly, and she becomes terrified very quickly, as I would too. And the last thing I'll say that I really enjoyed, I do want to talk about the 90s-ness of this movie just for a minute here. I did like that. So this movie is set in the 90s, but you really only get a sense of that through maybe the first little bit of the movie, the first, like, scene where you see Kate in her life before she comes to this house, and then you get it in the clothing and you get it in the music. And the music in this movie is really fun, mostly because I love the 90s, but they even had Courtney Love contribute a song, so that's how 90s they really got with it. And that is very cool, and it does provide an interesting contrast from that, and like, you know, Miles's angst, and he's like playing guitar and drums in his room, and all this stuff, and then you have that contrasting against this really old house full of secrets and ghosts. And that's really fun to me. I like that. Okay, and now the last thing that I want to say that I really thought they did a good job on was just like tension, and I felt very tense through the movie. I was scared. I was nervous. Like, I felt like they did a good job scaring me, and me really feeling on the edge of my seat a lot. And I will say that this is like a pretty quick movie. I think it must be under it's like 90 minutes tops, I will say. Yeah, it's like basically 90 minutes. And the scares come quickly for sure. They happen pretty right out the gate. But it was good. Like, it really held my attention very closely, and I thought they did a good job with the spooky. Now, the thing that I don't think went well, particularly, I'll say, I was just very thrown off by a couple of things. One was like the release of information. So there's a point in which the audience knows something bad has happened in this house, and thus there are ghosts. Okay, and when Katie realizes it, I thought Katie understood this quite early on, because she is like given many clues to see that something bad has happened in this house, and it takes her till almost the end of the movie to finally say, like, this happened in this house, and we're just like, I was sitting there just being like, yeah, we know. Like, I feel like it took so long for the main part of the movie to finally kind of happen, and then the movie was over. If that makes sense. Okay, so I feel like this is going to come up a lot for people. It has an extremely abrupt ending. More abrupt than any ending I feel like I've ever seen, where I really was confused and was like, wait, the movie's over? Wait, that was it? Is there a post-credit scene? Like, I was really very, like, lost. And I think there is something to be said about, you know, you know what? If you have Fangoria, if you have a Fangoria subscription, you should, not sponsored, you should go to their website, because they are releasing also articles on their website now that are very well curated and awesome. But Joe Bob Briggs just wrote like a short piece on The Turning, and he talks a little bit about how, you know, I think he literally says, like, filmmakers like open endings and audiences do not. And in this movie, I understand that. Like, I do understand that we want an open ending. We want to not really know what happened. We want to have this question of, like, are there ghosts, or is she crazy? Which is, you know, one of the biggest, you know, haunted tropes of all time. But for me, it felt like the last, you know, 10, 20 minutes of the movie, it was like, okay, we're descending into madness. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what's happening, and it's over. It wasn't even that. It was sort of like, oh, we're descending into, and then it was over. That's sort of how I felt. It just ended so abruptly. I could not believe it. And I do understand that, like, want to leave your audience wanting more and things like that, but I'm not sure it achieved that feeling. I feel like it just was, like, cut off. Okay, so that's my first complaint. Second complaint, or I guess it's my second complaint. Third complaint, I didn't like the ghosts in this. I did not like the ghosts. I love ghost movies, and for me, I liked that they did something a little old school with their ghosts, and once you see the movie, you'll get it. But it felt a little old school in a negative way. Like, it felt a little dated, I will say. And even though, like, there is something about, like, this being based on this, like, 1800s ghost story where the ghosts in it, I like the idea they were going with, but I found them to be a little silly looking. And I also, this is dramatic as well, but the actor that they cast is, like, the evil dude. I'm trying not to give away spoilers. I'm doing my best. I don't know. But the guy they cast as the evil dude looks like so stereotypical evil when he was alive and when he's dead. So he just looks like a villain in this way that's almost cartoonish. And I was like, oh, I wish it was like a little more nuanced somehow. I wish like this evil guy had more to him other than just being like, I'm this evil guy that rapes and kills and I don't care about anything and now I'm gonna kill you and I have an evil facial hair. And I was just sort of like, oh, like I want, not that I need to know more about that character necessarily, but I wanted to understand that entity a little bit better. I'll say that. I also kept thinking there was these like missed opportunities. You know what, I'm just going to call this a spoiler, or I'll say spoilers now. Spoilers now. I thought there was some missed opportunities with some of the strange things that were going on. One particularly, or I'll go with two right now. There's one time in which the ghost of the last nanny leads Kate out of the house to this lake, and what it seems to be to find her dead body. Okay. That's fine, but I thought it was going to be like to try to save Kate. Like I thought the ghost of the last, I said nanny, but I meant governess. The ghost of the last governess was like, should be trying to help Kate get out of the house. But really she's just sort of more like a suffering ghost that seems to just like lack intention to do anything else. And then the other, I thought, huge missed opportunity is so, Kate, you found out at the beginning that Kate's mom, if her name's Katie, I'm sorry, that Kate's mom is in some sort of institution, has had mental problems, unclear exactly what, but she paints. And so she sends these drawings to Kate at the house, and they are very creepy. There's like all this like black charcoal on paper with little bits cut out of it, and it looks like it was gonna be like almost like a note or a warning. Like it almost looks like if you had laid the pages out, they would have meant something. They would have meant something like some message from her mother to like try to save her. And it was nothing. It was nothing. It really was just, it seemed to be just a callback to remind us that her mom has mental problems, so that we would think, oh, maybe Kate is just having mental issues, and maybe she's just losing her mind, versus seeing all these ghosts. And I just thought it could have been a little bit more mind-blowing than that, I guess I'll say. But once again, I do want to say overall, I had a good time at this movie. I really enjoyed the aesthetic. I really loved like what it just I loved what it looked like. I loved the acting. It just felt like it didn't have payoff of certain things that came up, and I didn't really like the ghosts. And it ended really fast. Like ended in a way that it didn't end in a way where I was like, whoa. It ended in a way when I was like, what? Like I was taken out of it versus like leaning into it. If that makes sense. Okay. I think that's it. So that's basically what I thought of The Turning. If you are planning on checking it out this weekend, make sure you let me know what you thought of it. Especially if you've read the novella, which I think I'm just going to read it this week, because also the 2020 season of Haunting of Hill House, or I guess it's Haunting of Bly Manor, on Netflix by Mike Flanagan, is based on The Turn of the Screw as well. So I feel like if it's the year of Turn of the Screw, I should probably read it. So I'm excited to do that. So I'll try to read that in the next couple months here. But yeah. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in my next video. Have a nice scream. Bye.